Well, hello everyone, and we're gonna be taking a look at some random audiophile mumbo jumbo because I got bored. So basically, lately there's been this video that kind of like, showed why MQA is bad. So a lot of audiophiles jump on the train for from Tidal to go to a different service called Qobuz that does their high-res audio in sort of a FLAC format rather than MQA. And I started a free trial here, and I wanted to see how it sounded. And immediately I noticed that it just sounded just a tad bit better. So I kind of started like A/B testing between like your regular title, just like playing here and then playing on Qobuz, and it was just really odd. Like I couldn't find out why, but the Qobuz was just slightly better. And I know like Tidal uses like MQA and you gotta like unpack it and all that stuff, but like, I mean, most people don't even have regular DACs that can fully unpack MQA to begin with. So what I did here is I recorded the first minute and 40 some seconds of Forgiven by Alanis Morissette, because this is like the one track that like I started like kind of noticing it, especially since this is like from the 90s. It's more of like a brighter recording. And I recorded them both and I synced them up pretty much as perfectly as I could. Like if we zoom in here, like it is practically to the bit. Like I tried to like make this as like horizontally close as possible. And as you can see, when I A/B test these here with Qobuz first, let me try and get this thing a little bit better so you can see the full VU meter here on Audacity. There we go. We got the whole thing here. And as you can see, like, if you listen to it here, like, if there was, like, any dB difference, first of all, you would probably hear it. Second of all, you would see a little bit of a jump in the VU meter here. But when I'm playing it, especially at this louder part here, like I definitely should be hearing something. So this is as volume matched as I can honestly perceive it. And I was going back and forth, and I realized that the Tidal MQA recording seemed to be a bit more crunchy. Like it didn't exactly have that treble clarity that I wanted. And I was going back to the Qobuz recording, and I was like, wow, this soundstage is a little bit better. This definitely like sounds a little bit, more open. Like staging definitely benefits here. And I was wondering, like, it definitely shouldn't be too much different. I mean, it's the same kind of recording, just different encoding methods. And here's one method that I typically do sometimes to kind of figure out different qualities between like what is it? Between like regular different file formats. And usually what I do is I invert one of them, right? Because if you think when it comes to like sound and like, sine waves and stuff, if you invert one wave compared to a different wave, like they should cancel each other out, should become silent. And when file formats aren't the same, there's a little bit of extra left. And as you can tell here, especially since MQA is not a completely lossless format as marketed, there's definitely some extra here. We got definitely something going on here. And I was like, at the beginning of the recording, I was like, oh, it's just like bits of noise. Like, that's not too big of a deal. Then you get to the louder part of the track. You can hear that. This is like stuff that should be canceled out if they are both lossless recordings. So since and a lot of this information that's left over is treble information that I feel like the Tidal MQA recording is kind of lacking, or is kind of canceling out, or is compressing, and like it is definitely not the same. And like most of the low frequencies are represented fine, but like even on an MP3, you can get a lot of the low frequencies pretty well approximated. It's just the thing is that, when you have these inverted and you have this much treble information, like pretty audible treble information, like you're missing a lot of that detail that can make it or break it for like later high-end like audiophile gear for like sound staging and sometimes imaging, and like just the treble clarity just seems to be overall better on Qobuz compared to Tidal. And this is mainly on like mainly on the MQA recordings, but like then I started like comparing like, you know, the regular like hi-fi quality comparatively to like Qobuz like hi-fi quality, and I feel like I may be placeboing myself here, because like I'm kind of confused, because like sometimes with the Qobuz recordings I'm still getting that better treble reproduction, and Tidal still comparatively feels muted, and I have no idea why that is. So just an interesting little curiosity. Interesting that these A/B tests are kind of showing as much as they are, and I mean, hey, maybe we'll find out more. All right, let's pause this. Okay, so I decided to take a little bit more look, especially with like a spectrogram on Audacity here. And the bottom is the Tidal MQA recording, and the top is the Qobuz, like the Qobuz. I don't even know how I'm supposed to pronounce this. Qobuz. FLAC kind of recording, and you can tell, especially with this unfolding process, like this is a 44.1 kilohertz file, especially up here with the Qobuz. So like this hard limiting at about like 22K is absolutely normal. That's what you would see on any CD recording. That's what you should be seeing. Now with MQA, you are advertised that you should have higher bit rates, which unlock your higher frequencies essentially. But what you're seeing here, definitely, especially like in some of these drum hits, especially if you look here, I think this is a drum hit. Let me try and not kill our ears here. Oh, that's actually a voice there. That voice right there has a lot of upper frequency like reflections here that, like, yeah, MQA in their findings, like when they were talking to that one guy about the video, was just like, yo, like these are here, but like they are not in the audible range. But if you look later on at the part where this gets a bit louder here, where is it? Actually, you can probably see it here. All of this high frequency information here that's like down at like 40 some kilohertz is reflecting down here into like more of an audible range. Like maybe not audible, this is still 22 kilohertz, but like this reflection stuff should not be happening. And if you look actually kind of in here, let me take a look at this more thoroughly. And you can kind of see, like, as kind of proven that Golden Sound video about MQA, like some of this high frequency information in the MQA encoding is like starting to kind of creep its way into the audible range. And I've noticed on some of the MQA like recordings on Tidal and such that, like, you know, that sometimes it can sound kind of noisier, not as precise, not as clear. And I think like a lot of this reflected like higher frequency noise that's reflecting down is not exactly helping the case here. And I mean, this is, I feel like this here is kind of just this limited recording just kind of being quote unquote processed for MQA. And that's why you see such like a hard limit here in the regular recording. If it were my guess is that they were taking this recording that's up here and then literally quote unquote processing it, and you have all this excess noise that's just added. Like if this were like a true master recording, you would not have this limit here unless it was mastered for the CD horizontal frequency that this is at. And you know, if you were having true high res, you wouldn't have this block up here at 44 some kilohertz that is then reflecting down to 22 and a little bit down to 11, and that's not exactly great, especially if you have a treble heavy headphone like I do, or you know, anybody else. So just more interesting findings, and that's it, I guess, unless I find anything else.